Hi everyone. Welcome back to Everyday English Avenue. Today, we're joining a family on their very first cruise. You'll hear real English conversations, spoken slowly and clearly, perfect for beginners. Watch closely as they explore the ship, enjoy meals together, and create special memories at sea. Let's dive in and enjoy their journey. The morning sun was soft and warm as our family stood near the big port, looking at the cruise ship for the first time. It was huge, white, and shining, like a small city on the water. I was standing with my parents, my younger sister, and my grandparents. We were all quiet for a moment, just watching the ship. The sound of the sea, the smell of salt in the air, and the distant voices of people made everything feel new and exciting. This was not a normal trip for us. This was our first family cruise, and everyone felt a mix of happiness and nervous excitement. My father held the travel documents in his hand and checked them again and again. He smiled, but I could see he wanted everything to be perfect. My mother was looking around, taking photos with her phone. She wanted to remember every moment, even before we stepped on the ship. My sister was jumping slightly, holding her small backpack, asking questions again and again about the swimming pool, the food, and the games on the ship. My grandparents stood calmly, holding hands, smiling softly. For them, this trip was special too. They had never traveled on a cruise before, and they often said this felt like a dream. As we moved closer to the entrance, the line became longer. People from different countries were there. Some were talking loudly, some were quiet, and some were laughing with their families. I heard different accents of English around me. It felt like the world was coming together in one place. A staff member greeted us with a friendly smile and simple English. "Welcome. Please keep your documents ready." His voice was calm and clear, easy to understand. That made me feel more relaxed. When it was our turn, we gave our documents and passports. The process was slow but smooth. My sister asked my mother in a low voice if the ship could really float with so many people. My mother laughed softly and said yes. It was very strong and very safe. My grandparents listened and nodded, trusting her words. After security checks, we finally walked inside the ship. The moment we stepped in, everything changed. The air felt cooler, the lights were bright, and the floor was clean and shiny. The main hall was wide and beautiful. There were stairs going up, glass walls, and people walking in different directions. A soft music was playing in the background. I could hear announcements in clear, slow English, welcoming guests and giving simple instructions. My father stopped for a moment and looked around. "This is bigger than I imagined," he said quietly. My mother agreed and said it felt like a hotel, a mall, and a small town together. A crew member came to us and asked, "Is this your first cruise?" We said yes. He smiled warmly and explained where we could find our rooms, where to eat, and what activities would start later in the day. He spoke slowly and clearly, using easy words, so everyone could understand, including my grandparents. My grandmother thanked him politely and said she was happy to be here. The crew member replied, "We are happy to have you." We took the elevator to our floor. My sister pressed the button quickly and laughed when the doors closed. Inside the elevator, there were mirrors and soft lights. When the doors opened, we walked along a long hallway with many doors on both sides. Our room numbers were close to each other, which made my parents happy. They said it was better for the family to stay nearby. Our family rooms were simple but comfortable. There were clean beds, a small table, a window, and a bathroom. When I looked out of the window, I could see the sea moving slowly. The ship was still at the port, but it felt like we were already traveling. My sister ran to the bed and sat down happily. My grandparents sat near the window, quietly watching the water. My grandmother said she liked the calm view. My grandfather said the sea always made him feel peaceful. After putting our bags away, we decided to explore the ship. We walked together slowly, making sure no one was left behind. We found a large dining area with many tables and chairs. The smell of food was everywhere. Different dishes from different countries were being prepared. My father said we would eat later and first see more of the ship. My sister did not agree at first, but then she saw a sign for the swimming pool and became excited again. We went up to the open deck. The sky was clear and blue. The sea looked endless. There were chairs, a pool, and people relaxing. Some were taking photos, some were talking, and some were just looking at the horizon. A gentle wind touched our faces. My mother took a deep breath and said she felt free. My grandparents sat on chairs and watched people pass by. They liked seeing families together just like us. Soon, an announcement came through the speakers. The voice was calm and slow. It said the ship would leave the port soon. Everyone was invited to watch the departure from the deck. My sister held my hand tightly. My father stood close to my mother, and my grandparents stood beside us. Slowly, the ship began to move. The port started to look smaller. People waved from the land. Some passengers waved back. It was a quiet but emotional moment. My grandmother's eyes became a little wet. She said she never thought she would see this day. My grandfather smiled and said life always gives surprises. My parents listened quietly. I felt something warm in my heart. This was not just a trip. It was a shared memory, something we would remember for a long time. As the ship moved forward, the sound of the water against the ship became steady and calming. My sister asked many questions again. How long would the trip be? Where would we go first? Would there be shows at night? My father answered patiently. He said we would learn everything step by step. There was no rush. That made my sister calm down a little. Later, we went back inside to have lunch. The dining area was busy but organized. We chose a table near the window. A waiter came and greeted us in polite English. He gave us menus and explained the food options. He spoke slowly, making it easy for my grandparents to understand. My grandmother asked about a simple dish, and the waiter explained it with a smile. While waiting for the food, we talked about our plans. My mother wanted to attend a music show in the evening. My father wanted to explore the ship more. My sister wanted to swim as soon as possible. My grandparents said they just wanted to walk, sit, and enjoy the sea. Everyone had different wishes, but no one was arguing. We all felt relaxed. The food arrived, and it was warm and tasty. We ate slowly, talking about small things. My grandfather told a short story from his childhood about traveling by train with his family. He said this cruise felt very different, but the feeling of being together was the same. My grandmother nodded and smiled at him. After lunch, we decided to walk again. The ship had shops, small cafes, and quiet sitting areas. We walked slowly so my grandparents would not feel tired. Sometimes we stopped, sometimes we laughed, and sometimes we were quiet. The ship moved gently, and it felt safe. In one corner, there was a children's area. My sister looked inside and saw other kids playing. She asked if she could join later. My mother said yes, after resting a bit. My sister agreed, even though she wanted to go immediately. She was learning to be patient. We found a quiet sitting area with large windows. The sea outside was calm. The sky was still bright, but the sun was slowly moving down. My grandparents sat and rested. My father checked the daily schedule on his phone. He read out some activities in simple words so everyone could understand. There were language-friendly announcements, family games, and beginner-friendly shows. As we sat there, I looked at my family. Everyone looked different but connected. My parents looked proud and calm. My sister looked excited and curious. My grandparents looked peaceful and thankful. I realized this journey had just started. We had many days ahead, many conversations, many small moments waiting for us. The ship continued to move forward, slowly cutting through the water. Outside, the horizon seemed endless. Inside, our family story was quietly moving forward too, one step at a time, with no hurry, no clear end, just the feeling of being together on this gentle journey. The soft movement of the ship made everything feel slower and calmer. Time did not rush here. It felt like the clock was moving gently, just like the water outside. My grandparents sat quietly for a while, enjoying the view. My grandmother held a warm cup of tea, and my grandfather rested his hands on his walking stick, looking outside as if he was thinking about old memories. No one disturbed them. We all understood this silence was also part of the journey. After some time, my mother suggested we take a short walk again. She said moving slowly would help everyone feel fresh. My grandparents agreed. We walked along the wide hallway, passing other families, couples, and children. Some people smiled at us. Some said simple greetings like, "Hello," or "Good afternoon." We replied politely. English felt easy here, not fast, not difficult, just natural and slow. We stopped near a large window where the sea looked deeper and darker blue. My sister pressed her face close to the glass and said it looked like a big moving painting. My father explained how deep the ocean could be, using simple words so she could understand. She listened carefully, her eyes wide with interest. My grandparents listened too, enjoying the way my father explained things with patience. Soon, we heard light music coming from another area. It sounded soft and relaxing. We followed the sound and found a small lounge where a musician was playing calm music. Some people were sitting quietly, some were reading books, and some were just listening. We chose seats near the back. My mother closed her eyes for a moment and smiled. She said this music made her feel peaceful. My sister became quiet too, which was rare. She leaned against my mother's arm and watched the musician. My grandparents sat comfortably, and my grandfather gently tapped his fingers to the rhythm. No one spoke much. The music filled the space between us, and it felt warm and safe. After the music ended, people clapped softly. The musician smiled and thanked everyone in clear English. We clapped too. My grandmother said she liked how polite and calm everyone was. My father agreed and said this ship felt like a friendly place. Later, we slowly made our way back toward the deck. The light outside had changed. The sun was lower now, and the sky had soft colors of orange and light pink. The sea reflected these colors gently. My mother took a few photos again, trying to capture the feeling of the moment. My grandparents stood close together, watching quietly. An announcement came again, reminding guests about evening activities. The voice was slow and clear, easy for everyone to understand. My sister asked if there would be food again soon. My mother laughed and said yes, dinner would be later. My sister smiled, satisfied with that answer. We decided to sit outside for a while. The air was cooler now, and the wind was gentle. My father wrapped a light jacket around my grandmother's shoulders. She thanked him softly. My grandfather said the fresh air felt good. He said it reminded him of evening walks from long ago. As we sat there, my father started talking about the next day's plans. He said we would wake up early, have breakfast together, and then explore more parts of the ship. He spoke slowly, making sure everyone understood. My grandparents listened carefully. My mother nodded and said she liked having a simple plan, without stress. My sister asked if she could wake up early too. Everyone smiled. My mother said she could try. My sister promised she would. Whether she would or not, no one was sure, but the promise itself made her happy. When the sky became darker, small lights around the deck turned on. They were soft and warm, not too bright. The sea looked calm under the night sky. Some stars were visible. My grandmother pointed at the sky and quietly named a few stars she remembered. My grandfather listened and corrected her gently, and they both laughed softly. We stayed there longer than we planned. No one wanted to rush. The ship moved steadily, and the sound of the water felt like a gentle song. I realized that this journey was not about reaching a place quickly. It was about these small moments, these slow conversations, these shared silences. Eventually, my mother said it was time to go inside. My grandparents agreed, feeling a little tired but happy. We walked back together. Inside, the ship felt cozy. People were dressed a little nicer now, ready for dinner or evening shows. Soft lights and calm voices filled the space. We passed by the dining area again, now busier than before. The smell of food was inviting. My sister held my hand again and asked what we would eat. My father said we would see and choose together. That answer seemed to please her. Before dinner, we stopped near our rooms so my grandparents could rest for a while. My grandmother said she wanted to freshen up. My grandfather said he would sit for a bit and then join us. My parents agreed. They said there was no hurry. Everything could move slowly as my grandparents rested. My parents and my sister sat in the hallway seating area. We talked quietly. My mother said she was happy to see her parents relaxed and smiling. My father said this trip already felt worth it. My sister listened and said she liked the ship because everyone was together all the time. After some time, my grandparents joined us again. They looked refreshed. My grandmother wore a light scarf, and my grandfather looked proud and calm. We walked toward dinner, moving slowly, staying close. The ship continued its gentle journey through the night. Outside, the sea was dark and endless. Inside, our family stayed connected, sharing simple words, small smiles, and quiet understanding as the days of our family cruise kept unfolding, one calm moment after another. Dinner felt calm and unhurried. We chose a table where everyone could sit comfortably. The chairs were soft, and the lights above us were warm. A waiter greeted us again with a gentle smile and spoke slowly, asking if we were enjoying our first day. My father answered politely, saying everything was very good. My grandparents nodded in agreement. My sister looked at the menu carefully, moving her finger along the page as if she was reading every word. The food arrived little by little. Steam rose from the plates, and the smell made everyone feel relaxed and hungry. We ate slowly, talking about small things. My mother asked my grandparents if they were tired. My grandmother said she felt good, just a little sleepy in a pleasant way. My grandfather said the gentle movement of the ship made him feel calm. My sister talked about the pool again and said tomorrow would be her favorite day. Around us, other families were having similar conversations. Some people laughed softly. Some spoke quietly. The sound of plates and low voices mixed together in a peaceful way. English filled the room, but it was simple and easy to follow. No one was rushing. No one looked stressed. After dinner, my father suggested a short walk before going to sleep. My grandparents agreed, saying a gentle walk would help them rest better later. We walked through a hallway where pictures of the sea were displayed on the walls. My mother stopped to look at one picture and said it reminded her of a place she once saw in a book. My father listened and smiled. We passed by a small open area where a family-friendly show was starting. Soft lights, simple music, and a friendly host welcomed people. My sister wanted to stop and watch. My grandparents said they were happy to sit for a while. So we found seats and stayed. The show was easy to understand, with slow English and clear actions. My sister laughed quietly. My grandparents smiled, enjoying her happiness more than the show itself. As the show went on, I noticed my grandmother resting her head slightly back, still awake but very relaxed. My grandfather watched carefully, his eyes following the stage with calm interest. My parents sat close together, sharing quiet comments now and then. It felt good to be in one place, doing one simple thing together. When the show ended, people clapped gently. The host thanked everyone and wished them a good night. We stood up slowly and made our way back toward our rooms. The hallway was quieter now. The ship felt softer at night, like it was resting with us. Near our rooms, we said good night to each other. My grandparents went inside first. My grandmother waved gently before closing the door. My grandfather wished us sweet dreams. My parents followed them inside their room, and my sister and I went to ours. She sat on the bed and talked about everything she wanted to do tomorrow. My mother listened patiently while helping her get ready for sleep. Later, the lights were dim, and the room was quiet. I stood near the window for a moment, looking at the dark sea. The ship moved steadily, and the sound of water was low and steady. It felt comforting, like a slow breath. Somewhere inside the ship, quiet footsteps passed, and a distant door closed softly. As I lay down, I thought about the day. Nothing big had happened, but everything felt meaningful. Simple walks, gentle conversations, shared meals, quiet smiles. The journey was still new, and the days ahead were unknown. The ship continued forward through the night, carrying our family together, holding our small moments gently, as tomorrow waited quietly beyond the dark open sea. Morning came gently, not with noise, but with soft light entering the room. The ship was still moving, and the slow rhythm of the sea felt like a calm heartbeat. My sister woke up before anyone else and sat up quietly, trying not to make noise, but her excitement was easy to feel. She looked out of the window and whispered that the sky looked different today. My mother opened her eyes slowly and smiled, telling her it was still early. We got ready without rushing. Everything felt slower here, even simple actions like washing hands or tying shoes. When we stepped out into the hallway, it was quiet and peaceful. A few people were already walking, greeting each other softly. We went to meet my grandparents near their room. My grandmother said she slept very well. My grandfather said the bed felt like it was gently rocking him to sleep all night. We walked together toward the breakfast area. The smell of fresh bread and warm tea filled the air. Sunlight came through large windows, and the sea outside looked calm and bright. We chose a table near the window again. A waiter greeted us with a friendly good morning and asked how our night was. My father answered that it was very comfortable. My grandparents nodded happily. Breakfast was simple and pleasant. My sister carefully chose her food, feeling proud to do it by herself. My mother poured tea for my grandmother. My grandfather talked about the color of the sea and how it looked different from the land. We listened quietly, enjoying his calm voice. Around us, families were starting their day in the same gentle way. After breakfast, my father suggested we walk on the deck again. The air was fresh, and the sky was clear. My sister ran a few steps ahead, then stopped to wait for us. My grandparents walked slowly, side by side. My mother held her phone but did not take many photos this time. She said she just wanted to look and feel the moment. The deck felt peaceful in the morning. Some people were stretching quietly, some were reading, and some were simply standing near the railing, watching the water. We stood together and looked ahead. The sea spread wide and open, and the ship moved smoothly forward. My grandmother said the sound of water made her feel young again. My grandfather smiled and said traveling always brings new energy. Later, my sister remembered the children's area. She looked at my parents with hopeful eyes. My mother said we could go after a short rest. My sister agreed and held her excitement inside, trying to be patient. My grandparents decided to sit in a quiet lounge nearby. They said they enjoyed watching people and listening to soft music. We walked my grandparents to a comfortable sitting area with large windows. They sat down slowly, relaxed and content. My grandfather said he would read for a while. My grandmother said she would just sit and think. My parents promised to come back soon. We said we would not be far. Then we took my sister to the children's area. She entered carefully at first, looking around at other kids. A staff member welcomed her with a smile and simple English. My sister looked back at us, then smiled and stepped inside. My parents stood for a moment, watching her join the group. My mother said it was good for her to make new friends. We walked away slowly, talking quietly. My father said this trip was teaching us patience. My mother agreed and said it was also teaching us to enjoy small moments. We went back to sit near my grandparents for a while. My grandmother smiled when she saw us and said she liked that we were all close, even when doing different things. Time passed gently. The ship continued forward, steady and calm. People moved around us, each carrying their own stories. Inside our family, the story kept growing quietly, shaped by shared space, slow conversations, and the feeling that there was no need to hurry as the day unfolded softly around us. The late morning passed without anyone noticing how quickly the hours were moving. On the ship, time felt different, like it was stretching gently instead of running fast. My grandparents stayed in the quiet lounge, sometimes speaking, sometimes sitting in silence. My grandfather read a few pages of his book and then stopped, looking outside instead. My grandmother watched people walk by and softly guessed where they might be from, smiling to herself. My parents and I sat nearby, talking in low voices. My mother said she liked seeing her parents so relaxed. She said they rarely rested like this at home. My father agreed and said daily life often moves too fast. Here, everything seemed to slow down naturally. No one needed to force it. After some time, we went to check on my sister. When we reached the children's area, we could hear soft laughter and playful voices. My sister was sitting at a small table, drawing something with bright colors. She looked up when she saw us and smiled widely. She showed us her drawing, explaining it in simple words. My parents listened carefully, making her feel proud. The staff member told us my sister was doing well and enjoying herself. My parents thanked her politely. We said goodbye to my sister for a while, reminding her we would come back later. She waved happily and returned to her drawing. As we walked away, my mother said it felt good to see her confident and comfortable. We returned to my grandparents and told them my sister was happy. My grandmother smiled with relief. She said seeing children happy always made her heart light. My grandfather nodded and said happiness was simple when shared. As midday approached, the ship felt a little busier, but still calm. People moved toward lunch areas, carrying relaxed conversations with them. We decided to have lunch together again. This time, we chose a different dining space, smaller and quieter. The waiter greeted us warmly and asked if we were enjoying our cruise. My father said yes and thanked him. Lunch was simple, and no one was very hungry. We shared plates, tasted different foods, and talked slowly. My grandfather told another small story, this time about a seaside town he once visited long ago. He said the smell of the sea on the ship reminded him of that place. My grandmother listened carefully and added small details he had forgotten. They laughed softly together. After lunch, my grandparents felt a little tired. We walked them back to their rooms so they could rest. My grandmother said she wanted to lie down for a short while. My grandfather said he would rest his eyes too. My parents told them to take their time. There was no plan, no pressure. The hallway near their room was quiet. Soft light filled the space. We helped them settle comfortably. Before closing the door, my grandmother said she was thankful for this day. She said it felt peaceful and full at the same time. My father smiled and said that made him happy. My parents and I walked back slowly. We did not talk much. The ship moved gently beneath our feet. We decided to sit near a window again. Outside, the sea looked brighter now, reflecting the afternoon sun. The water sparkled softly. My mother leaned back and closed her eyes. My father rested his hands on his knees and breathed deeply. I watched people passing by. Some carried cups of coffee. Some held hands. Some walked alone, thinking quietly. Everyone seemed to be in their own calm world, but still connected by the shared space of the ship. After a while, my mother opened her eyes and said we should check on my sister again. We went back to the children's area. This time, she was playing a simple game with a few other children. She looked relaxed and confident. When she saw us, she waved but did not rush over. My parents exchanged a quiet smile. They knew this was good for her. We sat nearby, not interrupting her. The staff member smiled at us again. She spoke kindly, using simple English, telling us the children would have a small activity later. My parents thanked her. We stayed for a few more minutes, then decided to walk again. The afternoon slowly moved toward evening. The light outside softened. The ship felt calm, like it was breathing slowly with the sea. We passed by the pool area. It was not crowded. A few people sat with towels, some reading, some resting. My father said maybe tomorrow we would spend more time there. My mother agreed. We went back to collect my sister before dinner. She came out happily, talking about her day. She said she made a new friend and learned a new game. My grandparents joined us again, looking rested and refreshed. My grandmother said her nap was very good. My grandfather said he dreamed about the sea. As evening arrived, people dressed a little nicer again. The ship lights turned warmer. We went to dinner together, choosing a table near the window. The sea outside was darker now, but small reflections of light moved across it. Dinner felt familiar now, like a gentle routine. We talked about the day. My sister shared her stories. My grandparents listened with interest. My parents asked questions and laughed softly. No one checked the time. No one felt rushed. The waiter came and went quietly, making sure everything was comfortable. After dinner, my grandparents said they wanted to walk a little. We agreed. We moved slowly along the deck. The night air was cool and fresh. The sky was dark, with more stars visible now. The sea below was calm, It sounds steady and soothing. My grandmother held my grandfather's arm. My parents walked close behind. My sister walked between them, holding both their hands. I walked slightly behind, watching everyone. The ship continued forward, silent and strong. We stopped near the railing and stood together. No one spoke for a while. The moment did not need words. The sound of water, the distant lights, and the gentle movement of the ship filled the space between us. Eventually, my grandfather spoke softly. He said days like this were rare and precious. My grandmother nodded and said she would remember this feeling for a long time. My parents listened quietly. My mother reached out and held my grandmother's hand. Later, we returned inside. The ship was quieter now. Some people were heading to shows, some to their rooms. We walked slowly back. Near our rooms, we stopped again to say good night. My grandparents went inside first. My grandmother smiled and wished us sweet dreams. My grandfather waved gently. My parents went to their room. My sister and I went to ours. She talked a little more, then slowly became quiet. Soon the room was calm. I stood by the window again. Outside, the sea stretched endlessly into the dark. The ship moved forward without pause, carrying us through the night. Inside, our family's days continued to unfold softly, filled with small moments, quiet conversations, and the gentle comfort of being together, as the journey carried on without any need to rush or reach an end. The night slowly moved forward, and with it came a deep sense of calm. When morning returned, it felt softer than before, as if the ship itself knew this day would be different. Light entered the rooms gently, touching the walls and the faces of everyone inside. There was no sudden excitement, no rush to wake up. It felt like the journey was quietly guiding us towards something peaceful. We gathered together for breakfast one last time in our usual spot near the window. The sea looked familiar now, like an old friend. My grandparents sat comfortably, moving slowly but with relaxed smiles. My grandmother said she slept deeply, without worries. My grandfather said the sound of the water had become part of his dreams. My parents listened quietly, enjoying their words. My sister ate calmly, not jumping with questions like before. Even she seemed to feel that this day was special. We talked about the days we had spent on the ship. My father mentioned the simple walks, the calm dinners, and the moments when everyone was together. My mother said she would remember the silence, the kind that did not feel empty but full. My grandparents shared how grateful they felt. They said this journey gave them something they did not know they needed. Time without pressure. After breakfast, we decided to take one last long walk around the ship. Not to explore, but to revisit places that had become familiar. The deck where we watched the sunrise. The quiet lounge where my grandparents rested. The window where we often stood, looking at the sea. Each place held a memory now, small but meaningful. My sister stopped near the children's area and looked inside. She smiled softly and said she would miss it. My mother bent down and told her that memories stay even when places change. My sister nodded, trying to understand. My father placed his hand gently on her shoulder. We spent time on the deck again. The wind was gentle, and the sky was clear. My grandparents stood close together, holding hands. My grandfather spoke quietly, saying that life feels lighter when shared. My grandmother agreed and said this trip reminded her of what truly matters. My parents listened, their expressions calm and thoughtful. As the hours passed, the ship began to slow. The feeling was different this time. It was not the excitement of departure, but the quiet acceptance of arrival. People around us began to pack, talk about home, and prepare to leave. The ship felt more silent, as if it was also getting ready to rest. We returned to our rooms to gather our things. Packing felt strange. The rooms had felt like home, even for a short time. My sister folded her clothes carefully. My parents checked everything twice. My grandparents moved slowly, taking their time. No one was in a hurry. Before leaving the room, my grandmother stood near the window one last time. She looked at the sea and closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, she smiled and said goodbye softly, as if speaking to the water itself. We met again in the hallway and walked together toward the exit area. The ship was calm, filled with quiet footsteps and soft voices. Staff members smiled and wished everyone a good day. We thanked them politely. My sister waved at one of them, and the staff member waved back. As we stepped closer to the exit, we could see the land again. Buildings, people, and roads slowly came into view. The journey was ending, but no one felt sad. Instead, there was a peaceful acceptance, like finishing a good book and closing it gently. When we finally stepped off the ship, the ground felt still beneath our feet. The air was different but familiar. My grandparents paused for a moment, adjusting to the feeling. My grandfather said the land felt quiet after the sea. My grandmother smiled and said she would miss the gentle movement. We stood together near the port, just like we had at the beginning, but now everything felt changed. We were the same family, but something inside us had shifted. My parents looked relaxed. My sister held everyone's hand again. My grandparents looked content, their faces calm and full. My father spoke softly and said this trip would stay with us, not because of places, but because of time spent together. My mother agreed and said memories like these grow stronger with time. My grandparents nodded, their eyes warm with understanding. We took one last look back at the ship. It stood quietly, strong and steady, as if holding all the stories of the people it carried. Our story was now part of it. A small, gentle story of a family who slowed down, listened, and shared moments without hurry. As we turned and walked forward together, the journey did not feel finished. It felt complete. The sea was behind us, but the calm it gave us stayed within. Our family moved ahead, carrying shared silence, soft conversations, and the deep comfort of togetherness. And in that quiet understanding, without needing more words, the story gently came to rest. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Everyday English Avenue for more slow English stories. We'd love to know where you are watching this video from, so please write it in the comments below. See you in the next story.